Clic. Mao. Ça tue, ça blesse, ça flingue. Hey. Mao.
Welcome back to another episode of the Bench Mob Ent Podcast, the best sports podcast in New Jersey. We got a Saturday episode for y'all. We are going to touch on this episode some of the games that happened from week 1 in college football. Of course, the Arch Manning conversation, Garrett Nussmeier and how LSU did. Alabama, are they no longer to be feared in the SEC without Saban being there? Of course, we'll talk about the week 1 games that happened so far in the NFL as well. Cowboys lose, Chargers win. We will touch on all of that. And because we told y'all we was going to have these discussions for y'all, we will be talking about baseball this episode. Will the Mets be able to actually go win a division against the Phillies? Will the Red Sox or the Yankees, those two iconic franchises, which one will actually miss the playoffs? It's a tight race over there for the wild card. They're literally like a half a game separated. So we will talk about that all on this episode. But before we get into that, fellas, on this fine Saturday, how are y'all doing?
Doing good. NFL's back. College football's back. You know, what's better than fall, right?
You muted, Brody.
I got to take some time. I got to take some time away in the summer, so I'll take the summer over the fall. But not from a sports perspective. It's good that we got all this stuff back. So I got the butterflies going into tomorrow. Like I'm about to play with the Giants, something like that. Give me a call.
Hey, it is definitely the best time of the year. I was talking to somebody else recently about it. Everything is in full effect. Baseball, football, collegiate and pro level. And you got the W playoff starting soon. NBA training camp is around the corner. Trust you're going to have a lot of great content coming to y'all over the next couple of months. And for those that are in the TV shows and movies, this is the best time of the year too, because all the great shows come back during the fall time. So definitely lock in for that. But before we get into that, make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, and share. Shout out to Core in the building on with us on live. His episode, if y'all haven't checked it out, go check it out. Very good episode. Y'all been showing love so far. The most viewed episode of a guest this year. So shout out to the people that's rocking with Corey. We appreciate y'all. Make sure when y'all watch it though, y'all hit that subscribe button. But like, share, subscribe. We're trying to be here for a good time and a long time. And the way we do that is we educate the algorithm of this great content. We're going to start off. Alabama, they lost to Florida State. They were ranked number 8 at the time when they lost, 17-31. They are now the 21st ranked team. Are SEC teams no longer scared of Bama?
No, they're not. But I think the fear factor came from the fact that when Alabama walked into your stadium, you knew they were going to be more disciplined than you. You knew they weren't going to commit turnovers. You knew they weren't going to commit penalties. You knew that they were going to be, the operation was going to be smooth, right? That they were going to have no issues, right? Because Saban had those guys operating like a flawless unit week to week. When I watched them play against Florida State, that was probably the first time I watched Alabama, or maybe, it's since last year anyways, because last year was a disaster as well for them anyways. But it's one of the first few times I've watched a full game from Alabama where it just looked like they were the less physical football team on the field. Florida State was far more physical than them. They looked faster at their positions, with the wide receivers looking faster and with their edge guys and their linebackers looking flying downhill and making tackles. And they looked a more confident football team too. They believed they could win that football game from the second they started that football game, from the coin toss. They really did. And it starts with that, with Castellanos, the quarterback, and his attitude. And the whole team adopted that attitude, and they beat him up for 60 minutes on Saturday afternoon, and down there in Florida State. So it was an impressive win. But when you look at this team in Alabama, where we are, I think part of the big reason why you see them taking a step back is because of NIL and because of the transfer portal. Now guys can make money going to other places, and the playing field is even. You're not going to be able to recruit just off your name, right, and off your legacy alone. And that used to lead to them getting all these 5 stars. They would have all these great players at the same place in Alabama because it was so easy for Saban to recruit and sell the winning culture and legacy and what it means to be a part of Alabama and what it means for your draft status to be a part of that team and that program long term. And now you look at it and it's not remotely the same anymore. Now you have competition, you have the Texases, you have other places you can go and make money and get the same notoriety. I mean, look at what Nico did going to UCLA. That was a bad decision, but nonetheless, he still went to UCLA, right? And so because the money was there, right? And so these players are going to follow the breadcrumbs now. They're not going to stay or go to organizations simply because you can play for a storied coach or because you can play for a place that has a history of winning. Those things still matter, but the dollar sign, the almighty dollar sign is going to rule at the end of the day. And you can kind of see how that's leveled the playing field in college football. And the greatest example of it, or one of the greatest examples of it, is Alabama and what you see on the field when you watch them play, specifically at the quarterback position with Ty Simpson, right? You would think that they'd get a more talented quarterback there, to be quite frank with you. I'm sure he'll have his moments this year, but when I watched him throwing the run, I was really unimpressed with him. He was just really shaky with his accuracy on the move all game. And then again, just like at the point of attack, like that's what Alabama does well at the defensive line, offensive line. They move bodies with their defensive, offensive line. They just didn't do that at all against Florida State. So they were outclassed. They didn't just get beat. They were outclassed. It was a beat down as well. So it's really interesting, but I don't think it's something that gets better, right? DeBoer is not going to fix this because I think it's a talent issue. They play Ohio State. Ohio State will beat them down. Make no mistake about it. LSU, when they play LSU, they're going to get beat down. Like that is going to happen. LSU's offensive line is top of the line. They were really, really good. They kept Nuss clean. And then on top of that, like the D line is really, really good over there too. So and their secondary flies around. It's like they got 10 honey badgers back there, whatever it is in that backfield, in the backfield over there, in the defensive backfield. So some quick takeaways from me. I think the talent level has decreased considerably at Alabama, and it doesn't take that long to watch it to see it. That's all. You get to see it right away. Good luck to DeBoer. Those Alabama fans don't like that. You lose like 2 games this year, you're out of there. It's over. By the way, $70 million buyout. Wish I was him.
That's a crazy buyout, and we talk about it all the time. To be a coach on the collegiate and the pro level is actually one of the best things in the world, because if you do get fired, that's one of the situations where it's actually a blessing in disguise to get fired, because you get stretched out 4-year contract. No Diddy. You get stretched out.
We've been stretched.
Millions. Have you been stretched? You get 70 million spread out 5 to 10 years, and you're getting paid, not doing nothing, and you could possibly pick up another coaching job. Absolutely beautiful. On the other side, we had LSU. They actually played well. They beat Clemson. Garrett Nussmeier completed 9 of 11 passes in the fourth, finished the game with 11 straight completions. Second half, LSU shut out Clemson, allowing only a total of 151 yards and 31 yards rushing. Was LSU defense the MVP of the game, or was it Nussmeier?
You got to split the game ball there. I mean, the defense was incredible, and they're much improved from what I've seen over the past few years with LSU, right? And that's all the difference. It's huge for them to have a defense that good with the offense that's that good as well. They got plenty of players, and their best wide receiver didn't even play because he got into a car crash before the game or something like that. Like, so Nick Anderson, he was out, but man, I think you gotta give Nuss a lot of credit down the stretch of that game. You don't win that game without those throws against that Clemson defense, who balled out too, and they were really, really good. On top of that, like for him to go out there and make those throws he made under pressure, right? Under the duress, right? Throwing the ball with anticipation, all the things I talk about with quarterbacks you look for. Nussmeier exhibited that on Saturday night. It was a heck of a performance, and they were on the road, right, as well. So it's just something big where you look at, his ability to make those throws under pressure, his ability to go to the line of scrimmage and diagnose what's going on with the defense. Everything you look for from a quarterback, he does. But it's the anticipation part that's the biggest thing for me. Like, he gets that ball out fast, and he gets it out to the right place, and he gets it out in the right spot more often than not. So if you're a team that's looking for a quarterback, I don't know why you look much further than him, because of all the quarterbacks I've watched this weekend, right, from Arch to Lenoris Sellers to him, to Castellanos was close, but he was the most impressive guy that I'd seen, right, in terms of just making the right play and against the quality of opponent, against that defense to go do that in the fourth quarter when your team needed it on the road. That's extremely impressive. But I'm not surprised because I told you guys last year he'd have been the number one pick in the draft last year if he came out. This year he certainly will be. With more performances like that, I don't think it's going to take too much more to nail that in. He is a phenomenal prospect.
Hey, Miles, is there anybody that you see really that could possibly take over that spot as the number one quarterback prospect going into the next year? Like, is this kind of situation where it's Nussmeier's to lose? Like, Nussmeier has to play bad to actually downgrade his draft stock.
I do think it's something that's going to fluctuate. Like, Sellers is one of those guys where you see the attributes. He's fast, he's big, but sometimes those attributes scream like Anthony Richardson. So after seeing him come into the league and how he struggled and seeing Sellers, we got to see a little more passing than the running, which is great. It's fun seeing him run, and South Carolina is going to be a team to compete this year as long as he's the starting quarterback, because I think he did play well in the first game. But like Cade Klubnik, he's a guy that I think is going to be up there, even though he had a rough game against LSU, but that was a tough one. They had no running game. So it put a lot more pressure on him trying to make plays, and I do think LSU is a superior team with better talent on it than Clemson is. So there's that. And then like a sleeper that maybe not so much a sleeper now, but John Mateer from Oklahoma. I know he had a good week, first week. He's another guy that's going to shoot up the boards as the year goes on, especially in that offense over at Oklahoma. He just gives off like Baker vibes, where he's a tough-nosed kid. He's got mobility, strong leader. So those are some of the guys that I do like to possibly pass Nussmeier. If like Nussmeier is going to be the guy from here on out. Like even last year, he could have been a first-round pick if he left. I don't think he would have been the number one pick, but first-round pick for sure. But he can solidify that now with, some of these guys sliding a little bit and him playing well. He did play great in that first game, and he made some good throws. So I'm excited to see what could be in store for the Jets next year.
Staying with the quarterback conversation, a man over in Texas, they played the team, that Greg mentioned earlier that's going to definitely be a threat this year. And like he was saying, Bama don't get their stuff together. Trust and believe Ohio State will be a team that could beat them. They beat Texas to start off the year. Arch Manning, though, that was the story of the game. Arch Manning with 17 of 30, 170 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception. This is what he had to say after the game.
You don't want to start off the season 0-1. They're a good team, but I thought we beat ourselves a lot, and that starts with me, and I got to play better for us to win. Can't wait till the second half to kind of get things going.
So, based off of seeing that, man, how would you assess his play from that game and thoughts of going forward? Because, we've seen all the, he's not ready. It's week one. We've seen a lot of the overreactions. Now that we've had some time, a level-headed thought process on assessing his play week one and what you think we'll see going forward.
I mean, I do think he's not ready. He's not ready to come out this year for the draft. I think he's at least 2 years in as a starter before he's ready to come out. Even if you look at last year, the teams that he played, Louisiana Monroe, UTSA, like these are not top talent teams. And sure, he played well against those teams, but when you face a defense like Ohio State, who that has NFL defense written all over it. Like you got Caleb Downs, some of the D linemen are going to be in the NFL in a year or so. So he did struggle facing a team like that. And for a team that had high aspirations and people are all putting Heisman front runner on his name before he's even played true snaps against a good team, it was always going to put him in a tough spot. So he did have some good throws. I liked a couple throws that he had in that game. So the talent's there, but he definitely needs to play a little bit more at this level. Because when you look at his high school background, didn't really play any top talent. It's easy to to beat up on the 5'8" kid when you're 6'4". So I'm waiting to see what he does against some of these good teams. They're in the SEC now, so they're going to have to play good teams week in and week out. I mean, right now it's 0-0 against like Louisiana Monroe, and he's not really doing much. So I'd like to see him put a couple games together now against some of these lower tier teams, and going into SEC play, maybe he'll pick it up and change my mind. But right now, he's definitely not ready to come out, nor should he have any idea of coming out, because why come out when you're not ready? And then plus, you don't know how the draft's going to go. You know how the Mannings do. They'll be able to dictate sort of what happens and where they go. So,
I mean, look, the takeaway for me is that the ball doesn't jump off his hands when I watch him play at all. I mean, and I had that thought last year. There was a lot of hype around him and everything like that, and he played well when he came in to back up Quinn Ewers against pretty bad competition or okay competition. When I saw him against Georgia and he came in last year because Quinn Ewers got hurt in that game, it was he was all over the place in that game. I felt like they ran him more than they did in this game. I think they probably should run him a lot more moving forward because that's something he does pretty well. But the ball doesn't jump off his hands. Like, he doesn't have like unreal arm strength. It's more of a thing where he has to throw it into the patient and be really, really good. And he has to know what the defense is trying to do to him before the snap and after the snap to be really, really good. That's the bottom line for a guy like him. And he was lost. He would certainly that was not the case against Ohio State. Matt Patricia is an NFL guy, so he can make a college kid look stupid if he wants to, and that's what he did. That's the reality of it. He made him look like he didn't know what he was seeing, and that was exactly what happened. But Texas beat themselves in that game. I thought Texas did a great job. I thought Texas' defense did a great job hanging in. I think they have enough talent to be the best team in the country. It'd be a shame after all that hype if the thing that held them back from actually getting to where they could go is their quarterback, who everybody said was going to be the number one pick and was a generational prospect and all that stuff. I'm not sure what exactly Arch put on tape to be deserving of that title, being a generational prospect. I don't know. But I know for a fact that obviously he's got the pedigree. I do think he'll bounce back. I think today he'll bounce back playing against a bad San Jose State team. You'll get a chance to build some confidence going into some tough divisional games, because when you go see LSU or you go see even Bama, even though they're not the same, but when you see those teams and you see and Clemson, right, like that, it's going to be a dogfight. I mean, those defenses are arguably better than what you saw over in Ohio State. Arguably, they're probably just as good. So good luck, and not counting out Bama, but counting it. Well, we're talking about the other two teams I mentioned. So, when you talk about that, he has a lot of hard tests ahead of him, but I'm not concerned about some of the traits. I think the traits are the things that concern me. It's just like the arm strength, the anticipation. Those things kind of worry me about him. I'm a little concerned. I think the arm strength will be fine. I think he'll end up being okay with that, but you got to throw the ball before guys open. You got to know where you're going with that football. You got to get it out fast. And there's no reason why your body should be turned one way and you're throwing it the other way and you're missing guys that are wide open. That makes no sense. He missed a bunch of wide open receivers in that game as well, just because of mechanical reasons. So that is crazy. I hope he can get that cleaned up, because if not, well, you're not going to be talking about the draft. You'll be talking about fighting for your job next year at Texas, because Texas doesn't do like bad quarterbacks. It's not really going to happen. Like you're gonna have someone come in there and try to fight for the job, and they're gonna think they can beat you based on this year's tape. So I hope he can fix it. It's one game. I haven't given up on him, but there are concerns. There are concerns when you watch him play, and those concerns existed before yesterday, if you really watched him for a while.
Hey, all good stuff right there. I think the thing to keep in mind, like you said, it's only week one, and he didn't play, like Miles also said. It's not like he played a heavy amount of play time last year against top tier talent. We didn't get to see that last year. It wasn't the best of opponents. So I think pump the brakes, give him a little grace. It was just week one, and you're going against Ohio State. That's not it's the same thing that we possibly might see this weekend coming up tomorrow, actually, for Cam Ward. You start against the Broncos defense. That's not an ideal way you want to start your career. Unless you like that, then it works out in your favor. Tonight, though, we have Michigan against Oklahoma. What's your predictions on that game? How do you see that game going? Week 2, we got a really good one on the slate.
I would like to see Oklahoma hopefully tighten up defensively and make that Michigan team throw the football, win the game through the air. I want them to stop the run game selfishly, because I want to get a really good assessment of what Underwood is. Underwood looked really good last week against New Mexico, but it's New Mexico, right? So I would like to see him play against a top team like this, where the top 25 in the country in Oklahoma, and I would like to see the D-line tighten up and stop the run and make him have to win the game on 3rd and long over and over again. Because that's where you see where your quarterback is. That's how you know how good your quarterback is, when you see him on 3rd and long. Or you see him in the 4th quarter and have repeated a bunch of 3rd and longs or 2nd and longs, and you have to go out there and make throws repeatedly to win football games. So that would be my biggest thing for this game. I'd like to see that. As far as how I think this game's going to go, I think John Mateer is probably the better quarterback right now than him. I think he's more experienced. He's had some years already in college, being at Washington State before this. So I think the hype about him is real. I mean, you see his tape. You want to talk about a guy whose arm is live and the ball jumps out of his hand? That's him. So if you watch John Mateer and you watch Arch Manning back to back, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, because not only that ball jump out of his hands, he gets it out of his hands fast. It's quick. It's a very fast release. So I'm excited to watch him play. He's a gunslinger. I like watching guys like that to make the game fun. I'm gonna take Oklahoma at home tonight over the true freshman on the road. Michigan's the more talented football team. Don't make no mistake about it. They've got talent at every position around Underwood. They should win, right? But I have reservations about them when you stop the run game. Not that Underwood isn't talented. I think he is. But I think Oklahoma is a team that's hungry, and I think they've been building their talent over the last few years, and Mateer is a really good player. So and at home, I think I like them tonight, which won't be a popular pick with some of the guys that I know too. But I know those Michigan fans are crazy.
No, facts. Yeah, I do like Oklahoma tonight. I'm ready to see what John Mateer can do against a team like Michigan. Because, yeah, they played New Mexico last week, and coming over from Fresno or Washington State, I don't know if the competition was that great over there. So now playing in the SEC, and even though it's a Big Ten opponent, this is what you're going to face this year. And if you want to make it into that top 12 range, you're going to have to beat these teams early on to maintain that rise as you're going through SEC play. So I'm ready to see what he's got. I think he played well last week, but I want to see what Bryce Underwood does. He's a freshman. I mean, that was his first game of college. So for him to look like that, and I thought he looked really good. I think the one thing he's going to have to do is, gear down a little bit on some of his throws. He tries to fire it in there every time, and sometimes you got to have touch to it. But I mean, true freshman starting at Michigan doesn't happen that often. You could ask Tom Brady that. So, yeah, I'm interested to see this game. It's going to be a good one.
Hey, one of the Oklahoma alums, very, very great transition. I was happy that this panned out this way. An Oklahoma alum just played in a game recently. He had 4 critical drops. I'm talking about CD Lamb for the Cowboys. Miles Sanders also had a red zone fumble. Did the Cowboys beat themselves in this game?
100%.
Yeah, they did. They definitely beat themselves. They should have won the game. I thought they were impressive for a team that just lost Michael Parsons. They were pretty impressive. They stopped the run too. I mean, you got to give Jerry some credit on that. He's talking about got to stop the run. This and that, the third, and they go out there and they do a good job holding Saquon at 60 yards. Jalen Hurts outrushed him, in the game. So they did do a good job stopping the run in that football game. They did. I thought they were horrible in containing the QB scramble. They didn't think about putting a spy in there at some point. They didn't think about tighter coverage. They didn't think about switching up their coverages to make sure that Jalen Hurts didn't kill them on 3rd and long or 3rd and short every time with a quick run up the middle. They never did that. And I think that's where they lost the game. But even then, they had opportunities to win the game with CeeDee Lamb in those situations with those great plays. I'm going to say something too here. For CeeDee Lamb drops aside, Dak Prescott played a heck of a game. I mean, he made some really nice throws in that football game. He was the best quarterback on the field in that game. He really was. He made some incredible tight window throws in that football game. He really, really did. He gave the team a chance to win. CD should have had, again, those 4 catches that he had and he dropped. Shouldn't have been drops at all. But I'm going to give Dak Prescott his credit, man. He went out there and played a heck of a game, putting the ball where it needed to be put, standing in there. But if we're talking about just the overarching theme of the game here, too, the big thing I saw is that neither one of these teams can generate pass rush pressure. None. And without blitzing. Like at the Eagles, it was like Dak had all day to make throws. And on the other side of the coin, the Cowboys couldn't pass rush either. So you can stop the run, Jerry, but you sure as heck can't rush the passer. You can't do both. So now with the team that's this competitive, and the way Callahan was Callahan? Was Schottenheimer? Is that his name? Who's the coach? Brad Schottenheimer? Yeah, Schottenheimer. Callahan, Schottenheimer, they're all the same. But the way he went out there and called that game offensively, right? I thought he did a great job too. They did a lot of motion. They made life easy for Dak back there and to be reading the decipher what's going on with the defense. I love what the Cowboys did offensively and the way they called that game, as opposed to what I saw from the Eagles. The Eagles are much more reliant on the talent on the field. They have an all-world offensive line, the best offensive line I've ever seen. I always say that. And then they have great receivers, right, which we'll talk about. And then their tight ends very good as well. And their running backs all world. So when you put all that together, you don't got to be innovative with your play calling. You don't got to motion a whole bunch. You really, right? You put defenses in a conundrum when you walk on the field when you're that talented. And that's what they rely on, right? It's not the same level of innovation. My takeaway from this game is two big things. One, I do not think the Eagles are going to get back to the Super Bowl this year. I'm on that board. I know it's one game. They don't rush the passer well. I don't really believe it. I think if you're looking at the Packers, you got to look at them as a new favorite as well. I think where they are, San Fran can make a resurgence, and the Rams are going to be really, really good. Those are the teams that I think could be directly in their way that are going to be better when it matters most, because of the fact that if the Eagles will make a trade, right, you're not getting after that quarterback. So that a good quarterback is going to tear you apart, and your corners are not good. Quinton Mitchell aside, we know what he did last year, and you know how the second year goes. It could be a slump. Dory Jackson is unacceptable to play over there. He's not that good. And I'm glad to see for once that a Giants player put on a different jersey, and he did this. He's doing the same stuff he did for me. He doesn't look better for you than he did for me. It's the same experience. That's great, right? Azeez Ojulari, the passer they got from us, he's true to form. He missed week 1. What did he do? He spent a lot of time on the pine for us back in New York too. That's what he did. He just missed games. So there's concerns with the Eagles. Obviously, they won the game. They're going to win a lot of games this year. They're still more talented than a lot of teams. But I have real concerns about them in terms of championship aspirations is what I'm saying. As far as the Cowboys go, great effort. CD has the most drops in the league since 2021, I think it was, right? I think that's the number. It's ridiculous. It might be like 30 drops since then or something crazy.
I believe it was 35.
That's absurd, right? So if I was saying in the group chat, what's wrong with CD Lamb? Actually, no, CD was just being CD. That's good old CD, right? That's what it is. So maybe we should start calling him by his full name.
Hey, looking at the Eagle side, and it's important. I know it's great that we have Miles on to be able to dissect this conversation, because they won, but they do have some question marks that came out from it. And kind of to what Greg alluded to, Howie Roseman immediately, I think it was right after the game or a day after, they went and signed Zadarius Smith in regards of the rushing to try to get to the passer.
Don't get there. And Tone, I'll say this too. You mentioned one thing. I'll let Miles about to go. You said it's great to have Miles on for Eagles breakdown. Is there a reason why you're saying that?
Because I know you're the Giants fan on the pod, and you're
that's not why.
You're a hater of everything Eagles. You literally said that because Saquon went to the Eagles and did better than he did with the Giants. So I know how it feels to see Giants players leave.
That's not why.
Sure.
That's not why. Yo, Saquon was destined to do better there. They will open up gaps. He can run for 5 yards untouched before he even feels the first defender, right? So yeah, man, like he's gonna do much better over there. That's great. You know, every touchdown he scores, he donates $10,000 to Alligator Alcatraz, right?
What were you asking, Tone, before we were interrupted by anti-Philly? You don't even like cheesesteaks anymore. That's how bad it's gotten.
Nah, it would never be that bad.
He said, nah. It would never be that bad. So on the Eagles side, right? So the Eagles end up. Hurts has 19 of 23, 152 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He was sacked one time, 93.6 QBR, 14 rushes for 62 yards and 2 touchdowns. A.J. Brown only had 1 target, which came in the fourth quarter. How long before we see A.J. Brown frustration boil over? You got the contract, widely known as one of the best wide receivers in the league, 1 target.
No, for sure. That was a tough game for him overall. I think if you look at the underlying statistics, he didn't really create that much separation to get the ball. So, but even though that's the case, I would have liked them to still try to figure out ways to get like him the ball, Devontae the ball. But like Jalen was just taking what was given to him. So you see Dallas Goedert getting a lot of catches. He took what the defense was giving him, which was open running lanes to score touchdowns. So it's fair to be hard on Jalen and saying like, oh, he's got to get it to his best receiver. But there's some games, especially in this offense, where that's not going to be the case. Like AJ has had games like this since he's been in Philly. He's got to kind of get used to it at this point where you never know. There's going to be times where he starts off a game or starts off a season not getting the ball as much. And then once they figure things out, once they figure out what works and what doesn't work, then he picks it back up because he's been an all-pro a couple times with the Eagles now too. So this is the lowest he's going to be. 1 target, 1 catch for like 6 yards. That's not going to happen again. And I'm curious to see how that hamstring is doing after he missed time during training camp with a hamstring injury and if he's fully healthy because, you know, these guys will play through pain.
Well, hey, I think this is a good – oh.
Struggling to get open.
Hey, let me ask y'all, did y'all see that on the broadcast? Did you see him struggling to get open? Because, you know, here's my thing. Even when Debo was running around and he looked like he ate a vat of like ice cream before every game, right? Like you still saw the San Fran make an effort to get him the football, right? Over the course of a football game. You saw them try to get him a quick out or get him a quick smoke screen or something to get him the ball and let him run downhill a bit and get into the football game. It's a sign of respect when you're a wide receiver 1 for a long time in the NFL. And I'm gonna be honest, man. I know that the NFL films trying to drop that propaganda of Jalen Hurts preaching to A.J. Brown after the Super Bowl win and talking about the relationship with God and talking about all this stuff. And that's great. That's great. We love a man of God. That's awesome. We do. But like the reality of the situation is that guy is not getting them the football. And this is a trend that dates back to last year when A.J. Brown was reading books on the sideline. And who knows what he's going to start reading this time, right? So this year around and with the struggles they're having to get him the football. So I hear the point about the separation. And I also say it works in his favor that Devontae Smith didn't have a big game either. It wasn't like they got him the ball a whole lot over the course of that football game. They didn't go to the wide receivers. They really didn't do that. I don't know if it's because the secondary, the Cowboys secondary is they got the reincarnation of Deion Sanders at the Trayvon Diggs all of a sudden. Or I don't know if it's just because that's just with the game, the way the game worked out, and because you guys saw an opportunity to exploit their run defense with the quarterback, and maybe that's what it is, right? But I just have questions about their ability to get A.J. Brown the football enough to keep him happy over the course of a season, because we've seen this trend before. It's not like it's the one-time thing. We saw it last year. We're seeing it again, and we can talk about A.J. and if his play is declining, we can say that. Fine, we want to talk about that. That's cool. But I think we got to talk. And I know Jalen can throw the ball outside the numbers. I'm not worried about his ability to do so. I know he can do that. But we got to talk about their relationship at some point, because it's going to deteriorate, whether you like it just is like wide receivers want the ball, especially guys who have had success in the NFL, and for them to have not made an effort to get them on the ball on a reverse or to do something like that throughout the course of the game. That's the bigger red flag to me. It's whether you can get open or not down the field is one thing, but when you want to get a guy football, you're going to get, like, watch the Giants on Sunday get Malik Neighbors the ball every way imaginable. They'll have him play running back for a possession if they have to give him the ball. Like, when you want to get the guy a ball, you're going to give him the ball. Good offensive coordinators do that. So I don't know what happened there. Maybe it's a coordinator issue, but Jalen Hurts being the leader of that football team, I don't think you can let the game go by and your best player, your best offensive player, so to speak, or one of them doesn't touch the football. That doesn't make any sense. That's all I'm saying. And I heard Tom Brady talk about it on a podcast the other day. He was like, "Yo, like, you as a quarterback, you got to know your number one wide receiver. You got to give him the football, even if it's just like because it helps them build confidence. They stay engaged in the football game. They're running down the field over and over again. You got to reward them." He said that. And so he said sometimes it's hard to get the ball to the outside guys, but you still got to try. And we didn't see that at all from Jalen Hurts on this weekend. I think it's a little bit odd. They won, so no one's going to talk too much about it. But if this happens again next week against the Chiefs, is that it? They play the Chiefs next week, right? If that happens again, then it's going to be it's going to really spiral. It's going to really become a whole distraction for that football team. Not that they aren't used to distractions, because their coaches happen to be a 5-year-old boy.
I actually completely agree. It's the same thing. You look at sports on the other side of basketball. Same thing with football. Yo, your stars, your most talented people, you want them to touch the rock, touch the ball some way possible, some way, shape, or form, especially in NFL, because you could go so many possessions where, all right, they're getting doubled, they getting tripled. Oh, they have a cover 2 and they're shaded towards this side. We've seen it, and he's nowhere near the same level, but a Tavon Austin, for example, whatever team he was on, they was making sure he got the ball because he was that explosive. He could make an impact on the game. I think is Hurts and the coordinator. Y'all know darn well you need to make a way, somehow, scheme him open if he's having a hard time creating separation. Do something to get that man the ball. We saw in the Chargers-Chiefs game, there was a play that Travis Kelce got schemed open. Looking at the Chargers-Chiefs game, the Chiefs did not win, but just correlate in that aspect, Andy Reid, obviously, I would think we would all say is a better offensive coordinator, offensive mind than what the Eagles have.
By miles.
So maybe give them a call, but the Chargers win, right? Was this a one-off, or will we see a shift in power for the AFC West?
Yeah, I think it could be a shift happening right now. Like, the Chargers look good, and that defense looked pretty good last night too. And then when you have a guy like Herbert who played really well, and surprisingly, they actually threw it more than they were running it last night. I was like, all those people who drafted Omarion Hampton, they're like, what is going on? Like, Herbert's throwing it, Keenan Allen looking like it's before COVID. So that team is going to be really good. And we know the Broncos, they already have a top 2 defense in the NFL, plus that offense behind Sean Payton. So we could be seeing a shift. And this could be the first year in like a decade where the Chiefs haven't won the division. Like, they have issues. Like, they were showing Mahomes throws downfield. Basically, since Tyreek left, there's been a shift where they're not as successful pushing the ball downfield. They have to really dink and dunk to get their offense going, which once it wasn't going at the start, you see him 1-2, get out of his hands to get it to somebody. Hollywood Brown had like 16 targets last night, 10 catches, less than 100 yards. So this team is going to have their ups and downs, and they could go into week 3 0-2, honestly, if we're looking at the Eagles-Chiefs game next week. Like, Patrick Mahomes is great, but he can't cover up all the deficiencies that this team has. Like, the running game didn't look great last night. Outside of Mahomes, he was the only one getting anything done. Pacheco running into brick walls, Kareem Hunt not doing anything. And the passing game, you lose Xavier Worthy within the first 2 minutes of the game, who was supposed to be your almost focal piece with Rashee Rice out, that puts you at a bigger disadvantage moving forward. And he could be done for the year with that shoulder injury. So that's another thing they're going to have to figure out is how do we make plays? Kelsey, he looks a step slow, but he's still able to make catches and get open, and maybe they work him back into being a focal point of this offense. But yeah, the Chiefs, they got a lot of – they're going to have a players-only meeting week 3.
They're offensively very underwhelming, to Miles' point. But it's because they've gotten arrogant with the way they built their football team. And Tony, we talked about this yesterday. I mean, they went out there and got a bunch of castaways to play the skill positions. Tyquan Thornton was a guy that the Patriots didn't want, and you brought him on board. You made a nice catch down the field in that game. He did. But, you look at that. You look at Pacheco, who's, again, like I think all the good years you've had with Pacheco, like you were stealing time, right? You need to continue to add talent to that running back room is what I'm saying. You couldn't just bank on Pacheco being like your bell cow. That wasn't the situation you were ever in, right? When you pay your quarterback that much money, your team takes a step back naturally, and that's kind of what's happened to the Chiefs over time. And when one of your best skill players is Kelsey at this point, and he's not the same player. I mean, the biggest play he had, the only play he had all game, was a touchdown that was schemed up perfectly by Andy Reid. Like to your point, Tone, it was perfect. So it was like it dropped the ball in a bread basket to him. They don't rush the passer well. They don't get there without sending extra guys. Spagnuolo has to send extra blitzers to get to the pass rusher. Chris Jones was neutralized in that football game by Joe Alt. It felt like he never really got to the quarterback at any point during that game. They lost in the trenches both offensively and defensively over the course of that game. And they're going to play against a team with a better offensive line next week, right? Not better defensive line, but better offensive line. Defensive line is just as basura as the one you just saw. But at the end of the day, their offensive line is much better. So you're not going to be able to get to the quarterback there over there either, right? So Jalen will get to pick you apart. There's real concerns, man. There's real concerns with that Chiefs team and their ability to get back to the championship. I think we're having the wrong conversation. I think this is the year with Lamar or Josh Allen. You better figure it out, because this year where you guys can get over the hump and you guys can beat Mahomes. Because when you watch that Chiefs team, unless they make a trade, right, for some kind of offensive talent to get to walk through that door, and I know they're waiting for Rasheed to come back, but it's Patrick Mahomes trying to lift that team to wins every single week. That's what you're going to see, right? And Mahomes going to start sliding too. You go down, the whole thing goes up in smoke. But I just watch that team, and it's like Mahomes is trying to drag them. Mahomes is trying to will them to wins, and you can't win that way in the NFL. Not with the talented teams you're going to see in that division. Not with the Chargers being there. And I'm going to say, just to touch the Chargers point of things too, because I have to. There's a lot of discourse about Justin Herbert not being top 5, Justin Herbert being this, not showing up in the playoffs. I've been telling you guys forever. If people listen to the show, I've been saying it for a long time. Justin Herbert is one of the best quarterbacks in this game, period. And for people to have sat there with a straight face and have told me that Jalen Hurts was better than him because Jalen Hurts won the championship with the Eagles. And yes, I have to bring up Jalen Hurts. I have to. We have to do it, because that's the part. That's where I got annoyed. It doesn't make any sense. You got to understand, it's not a big 4 in the NFL. We talk about the big 4, but Burrow, Mahomes, Lamar, and Josh. No, it's a big 5. Justin Herbert is there. He's one of those dudes. He's one of those ones. He is just as talented, and in fact, he's more talented than some of the guys I just named. Right, more from a physical standpoint, the ability to throw the ball with pace, anticipation, the ability to run the football, all of it. Right, read defenses. He's the prototypical quarterback. You want to build one. You build Justin Herbert in the lab. He is really, really, really elite at this game. And so people don't know what they're talking about when they talk bad about Justin Herbert. If you start talking bad at me about Justin Herbert, I'm going to assume you don't know football, because that guy, it takes 10 seconds to watch him. You understand what you're seeing. He's really, really good. He's been doing it in San Diego in Los Angeles for a long time. So I just want to point those things out, because that's why I couldn't even have the conversation about Jalen Hurts versus him. It's not a conversation. Respectfully, all respected brother Hurts. It is not the same. It's not the same. So I just want to point that out. That's a different kind of guy right there. the Chargers are in great hands with that quarterback. They really, really are. And shame on the Dolphins are passing on him and drafting Tua, whatever. You know what I'm saying.
Hey. Oh man, I saw you speaking another language right there.
That's the last name. Respectfully though.
I don't even know how to transition from that one. We just gonna go straight to it. Baseball talk. There's no way to transition after that. Baseball talk.
If there's a rebuttal, I'm happy to hear it. But that guy is him, man. He's him. Justin Herbert's
I'll
him.
disagree with you on that part. I just don't know how to transition from to the NL East. So in the NL East, the Phillies are 82-59. Mets are 76-65. They 6 games back of that division title. Can the Mets overtake the Phillies down the stretch?
I mean, yeah, they have a tiebreaker. They have lost too many games due to some poor decisions and poor bullpen pitching and starting pitching, right? As well, they sent Kodai Senga down to AAA because he's been awful as well. So, and they're bringing up Brandon Sproat this weekend, right? All the young guys I talked about before the season when Miles and I were talking about the pitching issues the Mets could have. I said, hey, well, they have these young guys that they could bring up, and they're doing it now as well. So they're going to be pitching in the playoffs too. That's what it looks like. But they can catch them. I know they've caught the Padres for the second spot. I know that, and they tied them yesterday. I think that's what it was with that win as well. That win they won by the skin of their teeth last night, which is crazy. But there's an opportunity there. I think they have a tiebreaker. They're going to play them one more series. I think down in Philadelphia, down in that hellhole. So we'll see if we can come out of there with a win, and with a series win. And if we can at least tie them record-wise, I don't know what the mathematics are. I think there's still an opportunity. But if they can tie them from a record standpoint, they can win the division. It's possible. Will it happen? They got to get consistent pitching enough to support it to happen. I think offensively they've been awesome. Juan Soto's been Juan Soto. Like, he's been exactly what we thought we were purchasing. It's exactly what we got. The money well spent over here. But everyone else has hit well too around him. But they've got to pitch the ball more consistently to give themselves a real shot at this thing. Something about seeing the Phillies brings the best out of them, but you got to get there and win these games. So they got to win today, and they got to continue to pile up good starts, good quality starts, and good bullpen pitching. I don't want to ever see Ryan Helsley ever again. It's okay. We can punt him off to Mars. I'm okay not seeing him again. With the way he's tipping his pitches has been awful as well. But I don't know. Hopefully they can figure this thing out, man. I'm really hopeful that they can figure out the pitching before the postseason starts and find a rhythm, because they have all the talent in the world to get the job done, right? But there's brighter days ahead for the Mets fans, man. All these young pitchers they brought up, regardless of what happens on the stretch here, you have a bright future with your starting pit rotation, and you have an owner who's going to go spend more money to go bolster the rotation anyways. So we know we're going to get better. Like, we know we're going to get better from where we are now, and that's the exciting thing if you're a Mets fan. We're not scared to spend no money, so we're good. Like, I can be patient. I can be, because I've been through worse. Man. I done seen the bad days already. I know Jeff Wilpon. When you know that level of struggle, these things are good. Like, you know what I'm saying? When you eat syrup sandwiches, you go from that to eating a steak or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like, your perspective is different. That's all I'm saying. So that's my point.
Basically, Mets fans have the mindset of this too shall pass. So we've seen worse. We've came over on the boat. Now we
oh my God. Well, and the Mets are a resilient baseball team too. That's another thing too. That's their calling card. So, when you think they're out of it, they can get hot quick. So I'm not ruling anything out. I know Miles is shaking his head there saying they have no chance of getting back and overtaking the Phillies. I don't know what the math is, because the way Miles shaking his head, it's like we down 15 games.
No, you guys
only six games back.
You guys
6 is not ideal.
You guys have a 4-game series next week, or next week, I think. So yeah, there's a chance, but the way they played in this summer, they could easily be up by 7-8 games, but they've been god awful this summer. So it's a lot of ground that they have to make up. And yeah, the rotation talk before the season, I was right. I didn't I wasn't factoring in the prospects coming up. I didn't think they'd do that.
There is literally a clip of me telling you those guys are coming up. I said
for sure they're coming up.
I said
you have 5 guys in the rotation already. You rushed them up here because everybody sucks. Clay Holmes, Kodak sucks.
Nolan McLean was ready. That's all I'm going to say. Nolan McLean was ready, and he should be our ace, our starting pitcher, game 1 in a postseason series. He was ready. We got a couple guys that can go, right? I want to see what Sproat can do. Tong, I want to see more from him as well. We know he looked like he was ready. Okay, he was dominant in AAA, AA, all of it, all the A's, right? So I want to see what he can do at this level with more time and more starts before the postseason and make decisions from there. But yeah, we had to move a little more quickly maybe than we would have wanted to with all those guys. But McLean was ready. McLean probably should have been up earlier with the way he's pitching. Yeah. And that stuff is nasty. It really is. Nothing is straight. Everything's going velocity, but nothing is straight. So I don't know, man. I don't want to make this a Mets podcast, turn this into Mets Mirage or something like that. But it's the Mets have a chance, and we'll see what happens in the postseason, whether we get in as a wild card or as the division winner.
They do, but they got to beat the Phillies in this series coming up. They got to play the Padres right after that, and then they play the Cubs. So these are 3 teams that are directly in that playoff conversation. So if the Mets are trying to be a serious organization, then they got to
trying to be.
It's been a while. It's been a long time.
They were just in NLCS last year. What are you talking about? They're going to be fine. You see how you talking, though? Okay. Meanwhile, your Bombers got bombed by Toronto last night. We're going to talk about that in a minute. I seen them roll up in there and smoke y'all. That's okay.
That's fine. I'm not being petty. I'm not slinging crap at each other. Like, I don't take it personal that the Yankees lost last night. It happens. They're going to lose to these good teams. Hopefully, they make it as a wild card. That's where I'm at.
That's where you're at. Damn.
Hey, so perfect transition. Over the last 10, the Yanks are 7-3. Red Sox are 6-4. Currently, Yankees are 78-63. The Red Sox are 78-64. These 2 historic, iconic franchises. Which one of them misses the playoffs?
I think I'd probably lean towards the Red Sox on this topic, just for the fact that the Yankees do have good talent on this team now. They've got guys in the rotation that we can kind of lean on down this stretch. It's just a matter of fielding the best lineup to win every night. And hey, I wish I could replace Boone now. I mean, he's not the guy. He hasn't been the guy. And I don't know if that home run 20 years ago gave him a lot of leash, but it shouldn't, because this team has talent to win now. We made the World Series, and all that we did was lose Soto. And, I mean, sure, that's a big piece to lose, but bringing in Bellinger and some of the other guys that have played really well this year, this is a team that can make another run at a World Series. So they've got to show it against these good teams. Like, before this series, they were like 6 or 7-0 against the last 2 teams they played, and then they lose and put up a stinker last night. And there's all these questions again. So, I mean, there's always questions when you lose, and everybody's praising you when you win. So they just got to win down the stretch, and I think they will. No rebuttals. No, you're not slinging. You want to sling nothing?
No, I ain't gonna sling nothing. I'm betting. See, I can be the bigger man, man. Like, I got. That's what I'm saying.
What was I doing? I was being honest about the Mets.
The Mets. No, you're right. The Mets situation has not been ideal, man. This is a team that should have rolled to the playoff and win the division running away. And pitching just started to fall apart. And hitting did too. Let's not. Like the hitting did too. Before this offensive resurgence, it was bad. It was Lindor wasn't hitting anything. Nobody was hitting. Nimmo wasn't hitting anything. So there are real concerns. And hopefully they get hot at the right time and they can make a little run and give people something to be cheerful about in Mets land. But I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I am excited about the young guys coming up, and I think that from a long-term vision, talk about Cohen, there's money there to be spent. So, hopefully they can get over the hump at some point here in the next 2 years. We'll see. But
that's if there's no salary cap.
Well, yeah, that's a whole different conversation.
You a Batman. Shut your mouth. Perfect transition.
I'm anti-salary cap. I want these owners spending so that the players get their actual worth. It's not what's happening. What they're doing, because they can't control themselves, they've built a system that allows for fixed costs. Because they can't control themselves. I don't want them to control themselves. I want the players making what Juan Soto is making, because it removes the lie of we can't afford this. It removes everywhere the lie that sports isn't as profitable as it actually is. Basketball and football have restrictions on the players that make it so. LeBron James made what, Jeremy, in his career?
Through 2025, he has made $528,695,302.
So think about that. Think that Juan Soto's contract, even if he doesn't play the last 5 years of it, even if he gets hurt today, if Juan Soto gets hurt today and never plays again, he makes $200 million more than LeBron made for a career that's 6 years longer than Juan Soto's contract. That's what I'm saying. That's stupid. It doesn't, and it's only because these Ballmers of the world, who might be decent at crisis management, but aren't great at controlling themselves when they're competing against other people who won't control themselves, and they want to win because they've got monster ego.
So, perfect transition by Miles bringing it up. Are salary caps more about protecting owners' profits than it is about competitive balance? Should we get rid of the salary cap in the NBA and the NFL?
I mean, I've always kind of thought that the salary cap was in place in these sports like basketball and football for one reason and only one reason, because of the color of the skin of the people that play the sport. I've always thought that. I've always been now baseball. There's plenty of black baseball players and all that stuff, but I've always kind of thought that like salary cap is really conveniently placed in these two sports that have so much influence in black culture, so much influence with the people of color playing them within football and also within why am I blanking basketball as well. I mean, think about football, right? Like the position that gets paid the most is quarterback. Historically, quarterback has been a white position up until more recently, where black quarterbacks are now becoming more prominent right now. Like, and they make the most money on the field as opposed to anybody else, right? And offense has always been the higher paid like kind of space to be in within football than defense, which is why you have white offensive coordinators, white offensive coaches, right? More so than black offensive coaches in this sport, right? I do think it's tied to race. I think everything is tied to race. I really do. Now, people are this will go double platinum with our people who listen to us from Turkey, from Alabama and all this nonsense, who come in the comments and say all this crazy stuff about me making it about race or whatever it is. But like, it's the truth. It's the truth. I mean, it certainly has always felt that way to me, right? When I think about the sport. Now, another part of it is that billionaires become billionaires by cutting corners. And so they look at it like, well, I may be able to spend the money. I've made enough profit to spend the money to give this guy a mega deal, whoever it may be, player X, but I don't want to. I want to increase my profit at all costs. I don't really care about winning games. I don't really care about the community that I serve. I don't really care about the people who buy my tickets, and I don't care about my cable. I just care about the deals I can get, the cable deal we can get, the national TV deal we can get, the sponsorships we can get, right? The people being able to come to games. Let's be honest here, okay? I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. For Tillman Fertitta, the owner of the Rockets, okay, I've been to 3 or 4 Rockets games over the last few years. The Toyota Center is an unmitigated disaster. The seats are bad. Everything about it is just dingy and old and ugly, and the court may be nice and everything, but it's just gross. Like the amenity section, when you walk through the arena, it's not clean in there, right? Give James Dolan some credit. Knicks fans talk about him like he is the Lucifer on wheels Right. Okay. But the reality of it is that at least MSG is nice. They've made some adjustments to the Chase Center up top, like the little Chase area. It's real nice, a little skyway you can walk. They've got the amenities. It's real clean. The seats are nice. When you go to a Knicks game, it's a good experience. When you go to a Nets game, it's a good experience. Barclays is a new arena. It's nice. The product may be trash, but it's a good place to go watch a basketball game, right? Period. Some of these guys, all they care about is what the money they can put in their pockets. It's not about spending to make the fans happy. They don't really care about making fans happy. They care about you guys spending your hard-earned money to support this football team because they know fan is short for fandom, and fandoms are lunatics. That's just at the root of the word. And so they're over here trying to rake in their cash, right? So all these conversations about salary cap, my main point being is that it only starts with corporate greed, with greed from billionaires, all right? And that is a bigger conversation. That's a wider conversation in this country as a whole, beyond sports. But as it pertains to sports, just understand they are trying to cut corners because that's how you get there. You got to screw someone over to become a billionaire, multiple people over to become a billionaire. And that is that's at the root of this conversation, because there's no way that LeBron James has only been worth $500 million to the NBA over the course of his career. You know how much money that guy's made in the NBA? Billions upon billions of dollars, okay? They could pay these guys more money. They don't want to because they don't have to, because they can all band together and force their will, as we've seen in the NFL with Lamar Jackson's contract situation, amongst many other things. And then beyond that, right, the biggest thing is, again, like it's about cutting corners. It's about making sure that, you know, they have most of the pie. They figure, hey, we gave you $25 million a year. You should be happy based on where you came from, coming from the projects, coming from eating syrup sandwiches. I dare you to complain about 25. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the mentality, because they get to pocket all the riches and be billionaires and set their families up for lifetime upon lifetime upon lifetime. And that's the game they're playing here. So billionaires are the enemy. That's all I'm saying.
I do think when you set a salary cap is to help out the little guy, because those guys can't compete money-wise with, let's say, like Tampa Bay. They've never been able to compete with what the Yankees can do money-wise. They can pay an exorbitant amount more than Tampa Bay can. That's why all their good prospects, once the deal is up, that's it. They can't pay those guys. They go to LA, or they go to New York or St. Louis, or some of these other teams that can afford more money for the contracts. So, like, let's look at the Yankees last year. Their player payroll was $306 million. And Hal Steinbrenner he creates his own cap. That's why he's in favor of this, because he was already setting a cap for the Yankees anyway. He's like, this is the amount of money I'm willing to spend per year on the players. But meanwhile, they're making $800 million in revenue on the Yankees at Yankee Stadium through their box seats and all the other amenities that they have at Yankee Stadium. So when he doesn't spend, this is why Yankees fans get frustrated, because it's not that he can't spend. And it's not like going over the luxury tax. You pay that tax, George Steinbrenner would have paid double whatever the luxury tax is to get the best guys on and creating this evil empire. Like, it's not the evil empire anymore, because Hal is more a businessman than George. George was a gambler.
Can we hold on? Because I just looked up while you were talking. The Tampa Bay Rays owner, his net worth is $800 million. He's also selling the team right now for approximately $1.7 billion to an ownership group. Hal Steinbrenner's net worth is $1.5 billion alone, not as an ownership group, alone. That's how much money that guy has by himself. So if, let's say, $800 million, lower number, you could re-sign some of these guys that are leaving your team for sure. And you definitely are making big profit down in Tampa Bay, because what the heck else are you going to go do besides go to the beach or watch baseball in Tampa Bay? They ain't got nothing else to do. They are at these games, and they've been good the last few years too. So you made money off those playoff runs. You made money off of that World Series run. You've had success. So this idea that the salary cap is there to help the smaller team, I think they feed us that. They feed us that so that way we think that that's really what it's about, right? Because we can't afford it. We can't compete. We can't afford. No, that is not it. You are not keeping your homegrown talent. In the NBA, that's more of a conversation because guys have more freedom to move. That's different. In baseball, guys won't move if you pay them. Like because look at the example number A I can think of. Letter A is Vladimir Guerrero, who was with Toronto, and they were talking about him leaving, and they offered that guy the big contract, the big deal. He stayed. He started doing the bachata right there and stayed his ass right there in Toronto instead of going and leaving like we thought he was going to leave. So they will stay in undesirable locations. Not that Toronto's undesirable, but the people will stay in Milwaukee if you pay them. Ryan Braun. People will stay in these weird places in the country where these teams are at. People would stay in Iowa if you gave them enough money, right? Like they'll stay places. Giannis, they'll stay places if you can give them the money, and the money is there to be given. But the salary cap is in structure. I really believe the reason why it's there is because they don't want to pay you an exorbitant amount of money. They want to control the market as much as possible for these players. And the easiest way to do it is under the guise of a salary cap, where you say that, hey, we're helping out the small market teams so they can be competitive. That may be more of a conversation in the NBA because guys can move where they want to go. Player movement is prominent in the NBA. But in baseball, there's no excuse, in my opinion, right, for them to even bring up the idea, to even broach the topic. It makes no sense. It's uncapped for everybody. You all have the same advantages. If you cannot afford to pay your guys, then sell the team because someone else has more money who might be willing to spend that money, and you're doing a disservice to the people in the community there. The NFL is the same thing, man. I mean, NFL is the same thing I would say as the NBA. Player movement's not as necessarily as prominent because they have all those years they can play with, like the franchise tag and all that stuff. But the reality of it is they're going to take their shortcuts. Jerry Jones took a shortcut on Michael Parsons. That's what he did. You had the money to pay that guy, right? You did. You could have paid him, right? You could have paid, and you would have suffered other places, but you could have paid him, right? The salary cap is there specifically so they don't spend too much money and they can keep their profit margin high. It's about profit margins with billionaires. That's what it boils down to. I promise you, that's what it comes down to.
No disagreement there on the aspect of, the owners just want to be cheap. To be that rich and to get to that point, yes, you've had to screw over a bunch of people at some point. You've had to do little side deals on the side to be able to sign Kawhi Leonard. And it's the same playbook we see all the time with the richest people, the celebrities, the people in government. When they get caught, I didn't know. I got conned. I'm just like you. I'm just like regular folk. I got conned. I didn't know these guys were involved with fraud. The investigation continues on, and then more investigation, more evidence comes out. Then it's, you know what? Now either we're going to double down on the I had no idea, or now we're going to give out a fake apology, a soft apology written with no actual true remorse. Because when you get fined by the NBA, when you get fined by the NFL or MLB, you still have a net worth of $2.6 billion. You still have a net worth of $500 million. So it's worth the risk because, hey, I made X amount of money when Kawhi was here anyway. I had a chance to actually win a championship when Kawhi was here. Cool. Oh, well, took a loss. I'll just do it again as a same thing, just a little bit smarter. I'll make sure the contract doesn't say K2L and have his jersey number in it. I'll just do it differently next time.
Right. Sitting here and believing that guy, sitting here and believing billionaires, believing Mark Cuban and believing Ballmer, you're an idiot, respectfully, if you sit there and you believe that these guys would not do whatever it takes to get a competitive advantage over the next guy and increase their earning potential as the owner of a basketball team or a football team or a baseball team. There is no reason why we should sit here and think and take what Pablo Torre told us and put it to the side as if it's not that serious. It's extremely serious what the Clippers did, and there's no reason to sit here and give the Clippers the benefit of the doubt. When have the Clippers ever been a destination in the history of the NBA? When have the Clippers ever beaten the Lakers out for a free agent? It has literally never happened before. It is not a thing. It's not, historically, it doesn't happen. And so for that whole situation to go down the way it did, and for Ballmer to go out on TV and like plead his case with the public, that screams guilty. That is the opposite effect of what you think it is. You think you're being transparent. No, it looks bad. It looks really bad. You understand the severity of the situation, and you're scrambling because you got caught. You got caught. And there's going to be consequences if the NBA has a spine at all, right? If the NBA has a spine at all. If Adam Silver, the player's GM, who's been the nice guy, right, has a spine at all, there'll be consequences, real ones, for that team. There will, because it's unbelievable. And now, here's the other part about this, the double-edged sword. If the Clippers did it, other people did it too. It ain't like Ballmer's the only one, because now who are they looking into? Jalen Brunson and the Knicks. And so I for Miles' sake, I hope it don't come out that Jalen Brunson not getting no free massages or nothing like that under the table, or is nothing crazy, or there's not some crazy arrangement here that we don't know about, some fake advertisement deal or whatever it is. Hopefully it's all on the up and up, and Jalen's just a good dude, right? Hopefully that's the case. And Jalen is a good dude. Hopefully, because you saw Pablo say looking into that. Pablo gonna do his thing.
Hey,
so
when it comes to that, if you getting a call from Pablo Torre and his people,
you might want to hang up the phone.
It's
You want to hang
curtains.
up the phone.
It is curtains, because one thing for sure, Pablo Torre he's actually really, really good at, even though ESPN did him dirty by saying he just was a contributor. They didn't run the story. It wasn't front news because they sour, because y'all let the man go. ESPN, speaking of cutting costs and trying to profit as much money as possible, signing the Stephen A's of the world, signing the what's his name, Pat McAfee's of the world. Not saying they're not good at their job, but all of the other people that brought value to your network, you had to cut them to bring the large fish on. When Pablo Torre is really good at his job, investigative journalist, he gets the information. Go ahead.
I was gonna say to you, and I've been seeing this comment all over social media, and people saying, "Oh, Pablo's a snitch. Pablo's this and that." It goes to show us that education's failing in this country. It's a major problem. It's the biggest epidemic. We've got a bunch of stupid people running around because the point of journalism is exactly what he's doing. It's journalism serves a watchdog function in society. That's the point. It's to make sure that people in positions of power, that groups of people in power can't get away with corruption on the low, because they do it all the time. And it's the name of a dollar. Okay. Open your Bible, okay? They talk about how money is the root of all evil. It literally, no matter what you believe in, that's at the root of all this thing. So don't think that people won't cheat at every turn and corner, right? To make a dollar, to keep a dollar, to make more money than the next man. That's what it all boils down to. Money makes this thing go round. So at the center of our conversations with everything, Kawhi, all of it, the salary cap idea in baseball, which is stupid, right? In case you didn't get what I'm saying by now, what we're saying by now, it's all rooted at the idea of making the almighty dollar is all I'm saying. So understand that part, because that's huge. And journalism and journalists like Pablo Torre, they're few and far between. I'm glad that we getting back to the old school a little bit, because we need that now more than ever in the society, is people who are kind of serving that watchdog function and telling us the real what's going on. And if you don't think that James Dolan is capable of doing something like what Ballmer did, if you think James Dolan is not capable of doing that, or he wouldn't do it, because he's a man of God, I am sorry to say, you're going to be sadly disappointed whenever this story breaks. That's all I'm going to say to you. It's possible that it's possible because you got to understand what Jalen Brunson did, right? We know, like, he took $100 million less, like, willingly. He took $100 million less to stay in New York and to give them cap flexibility. That's what he said. That's a lot. Who give up $100 million now? Who? Tony, you give up $100 million? 15 and a half cap flexibility? Miles, you give him $100 million for Bench Mob to have cap flexibility? If Tone said, "Yeah, we need to take a pay cut,"
but then once he
probably not
gets that $450 million deal for 5 years, then what? Then it's like, all right,
is that what's going to happen? You think he's promised money in the? You think he's promised money in the back? Okay, wait. Okay, with that idea in mind, the average lifespan of an athlete is short. You could blow your knee out tomorrow. You could blow your back out tomorrow.
Correct. So
it's
a gamble. It's a gamble that he's taking.
But they never take. But agents don't ever let you take that gamble, though. An agent will never let you take that gamble. That's what I'm saying to you. Like, when are athletes ever taking that gamble? Who plays with their life like you playing with your money and your life like that? Who does that? It could be over tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? A piece of MSG, a piece of the floor could be loose. He could step on it, get career done, up in smoke. So you literally don't know. Like, how could you willingly take that gamble?
He gets a lot more endorsements in New York than he would in, let's say, Dallas or Phoenix. So he's able to make money, but it's not $100 million, but he's still able to be okay. It's not like he's making what, $35 million a year. That's not cheap.
He's not making $35 million a year.
Yeah, sure.
He is, but he isn't. Yeah. So
yeah.
Big taxes.
To wrap it all around, because back to the conversation of owners and billionaires, if y'all think for 1 second, God forbid, knock on wood, something happens to Jalen Brunson, that Dolan won't gladly not pay that man on the back end, huge gamble, because you're gambling that I'm gonna stay healthy, I'm gonna stay at this level, so on the back end I can get paid. James Dolan, I wouldn't be surprised if he has a shrine somewhere in his house praying that at some point Jalen Brunson, the play declines or something, so he doesn't have to pay him that on the back end. And with Pablo Torre mentions your name, you better get your ducks in a row, find out, make sure everything's on the up and up.
It sounded like he knew something.
It did.
It sounded like he knew something about it already. When he said it, it sounded like, he kind of said it without saying it, with the look on his face and everything like that when he was talking to Dan Patrick, right? Like, it sounded like it. So I'm just saying, Miles, brace yourself. Brace yourself.
I'm bracing myself. I'm bracing for this championship run next year. That's what I'm bracing for. So
it could be
for me.
It could be a Malik Beasley situation, because he did break that, and Malik Beasley came out innocent from it. So it could be a situation like that. He thinks he has something on Brunson. It did take him 6-7 months to do his full research on this whole situation with Balmer. So maybe he'll, he's at the beginning stages of his research, and it could be a situation kind of like with Malik Beasley. FBI eventually investigates, nothing comes of it. But if Pablo Torre does mention your name, get your stuff ready, get your stuff lined up, make sure everything is on the up and up, all the paperwork, everything like that. Because trust and believe, when it comes to bringing back like actual journalism and doing the investigative part to find out the truth of what's been going on behind the scenes, Pablo Torre, he stays ready. So he ain't got to get ready. Bench Mob, we out. Peace.
Peace.